First-generation immigrant Robert Herjavec once eked out a living serving posh food to the wealthy. Nowadays, he is one of the wealthy. For thrills, the rich and ready-driven social entrepreneur jets to his private island, or he races around in one of his many luxury cars, the ones he parks in the fancy garage of his $15 million Ontario mansion. Herjavec joins us to talk about his rags to riches life, why he always trusts his spidey senses, and how his will to win got him where he is today. It's good to be here with you today and with former paperboy turned techno multimillionaire and TV celebrity Robert Herjavec. He is a motivating motoring man who founded the top tech Herjavec Group. He was one of the first TV dragons on CBC's Dragon's Den. He currently appears on America's hit show Shark Tank, and he writes bestsellers. His new one is called The Will to Win, Leading, Competing, Succeeding. And that you've done, my boy.
We've done. We've had a lot of luck and a lot of hard work. It's been great.
And I have a feeling that mansion that was 15 mil has gone up.
It's incredible. When we bought our house, nobody wanted to move into that area. People said, who would ever live out there?
Where's out there?
In the Bridle Path in Toronto. And when I bought the house, it made the front page of the Globe and Mail as the most expensive and largest home ever sold in Canada. And what's crazy now is a relatively upper end home sells for more than that today. I couldn't buy the lot my house is on. In fact, I'm not sure I could buy into my area anymore. It goes to show you it's all about timing in life sometimes.
No kidding. I bet you could buy in the area. Conrad Black lives in the area.
He's
could
been
you
there
buy
longer
his
than
place?
I have.
Really?
No, I couldn't buy his place. It's amazing how real estate in Toronto has gone up so much over time. And the influx of money coming from offshore is incredible. Well, you know that here in Vancouver.
Yes. Conrad Black is coming on this show at the end of next month.
He was just at my book launch a few
Really?
days ago. Yeah. He crashed a party.
Of course he did.
Only in the Bridle Path would Conrad Black crash my party.
Do you have a question for Conrad Black when I can ask him? A smart question, something you'd like to know? I won't tell him you said.
Which historical figure does he admire that he thinks has done something wrong and came back from it?
Okay.
Because I don't think he thinks he did anything wrong, even though he was convicted of it.
I think you're right. And I know he likes FDR, so we'll
Well, that
go
was a great
from
book.
there.
I didn't read it, but it was 800 pages.
Well, most of them are. And his vocabulary is 800 pages. So, over to you, the will to win. Were you born with it?
No, absolutely not. It's the biggest fallacy that people have about guys like me. They say, oh, if I was born like him, if I was driven like him or motivated. Absolutely not. I was the happiest, go-lucky, never motivated kid. I mean, I wasn't lazy, but I never thought any of this was possible until something really bad happened to me in my mind. We came to Canada. And so it wasn't all about family and love and this wonderful environment like we had back home. It was a lot of hardship.
So you left the former Yugoslavia, Croatia today?
It was Yugoslavia at the time. My dad was in jail, and he took my mom and I, and very melodramatic. My kids have heard it a million times. The three of us came on a boat with one suitcase and took a train and lived in someone's basement for 2 years. Remarkable. I mean, in this day and age, it's remarkable.
And you came in, I'm assuming, Pier 21.
Wow, very
Halifax.
good. Yeah, and one of the most moving moments for me was the director of Pier 21 invited me down, and she showed me a picture of the actual boat that my mom and dad and I were docking on. Very moving. That's Canada. That's Canada for so many people. We're a land of immigrants, whether we came from Eastern Europe or we came from somewhere else. People come here for a better opportunity, just like I did.
The immigrant story, one that should always be told, of course. Tell me your dad's story. I know he was sweeping factory floors at first.
Yeah, my dad's a complicated story. We never had, I've got my son here with me, and I spend a lot of time with my kids. My dad didn't spend a lot of time with me. It wasn't in his DNA, because at the time, his job was to put food on the table. It wasn't to take me to a hockey game or stuff like that. So we didn't spend a lot of time, but my God, that was one motivated, hardworking guy.
And a guy who did not collect unemployment insurance even though he was unemployed.
Incredible story. So, like most immigrants, I understood English better than my parents. And when my dad lost his job, I remember going to him and saying, Dad, here's the forms you need to fill out to get unemployment. And he says, what? What do you mean? I said, they'll pay you. The government will pay you because you're not working. And he said, this is a great country. Nobody in this country owes me anything except an opportunity. And he wouldn't take unemployment.
Really?
I mean, it's remarkable. So
It is.
when you grow up in an environment like that, how can you not be motivated? You know, I just said to somebody this morning, nothing I ever do in my life will be as hard as it was for them coming here.
And the influence of your mother on you.
Absolute, non-committal love.
Unconditional.
You know, I know it sounds like a Beatles song, but the
Yes.
only thing we need in life is somebody to love us. Even though I didn't have any money and we didn't have very much food at a certain point, and I remember one time the kids beat me up in school because I wore the same pants every day because we didn't have money, but they were always clean. But the one thing we always had was my mom's support. That's all you need in life.
Yes, and you must have had your dad's stubbornness too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When did you decide you wanted to make some money? Or was it an accident?
Never thought of it like that. I never wanted to make money. I just didn't want to live like we lived. So I think there are people who grow up, like Mark Cuban. He and I have this talk on the show on Shark Tank.
The Shark Tank.
And he says, when I was 12 years old, I knew I wanted to be a billionaire. And I'll be honest, I never did. I just didn't want to be poor. I didn't want to live like we lived. I think in this country, if you don't make a certain amount of money, the world is going to take advantage of you. And I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be that immigrant that people made fun of. So I just wanted to rise above where we were.
As I watch you on television with Kevin O'Leary, who is known as the money guy.
He is the
money
money
drives
guy.
him all the way, all the way. I suspect that's not what drives you.
Success. I mean, don't get me wrong, another Ferrari or a bigger plane is always great, and who doesn't want stuff? And everybody's different. I like cars. One of my neighbors loves art. But what drives me is building stuff.
Why cars?
Because when we came to Canada, we had no money, and we're walking down the street, and we didn't have enough money to take the bus even then. And we see a car go by, and I say to my dad, what's that? And my dad says, you no worry about that. That's Cadillac. Only rich people drive Cadillac. And it just stuck with me. And I always said one day, I'll be the guy in the Cadillac.
Aha. But your first car probably
And then I just
wasn't
love
a
cars.
Cadillac.
No, my first car was a 1981 Mazda RX-7 rotary engine. But I loved it, Fanny, I loved it in the same way I love my brand new Ferrari 599 GTO. I love cars. I love the control, I love the speed, I love everything.
And
about
you
it.
love racing them, I know that. So
do.
Lamborghini was one of your big loves, and then this Ferrari kick you're on.
Yeah,
Racing a Ferrari.
I'm addicted.
You are.
I need help.
And when you race a Ferrari, you're really addicted. I'm sure. I can't even imagine the feeling. What does your coach tell you? Oh, you must have a coach, a racing coach.
Well, I do. His name is Tyler McQuarrie. He was the North American drifting champion. And what he tells me is I have to be more aggressive. As crazy as that sounds, is I wasn't aggressive enough in racing. But racing is being calm in the eye of a hurricane. We're going 200 miles an hour. There's 30 other cars on the track. And you've got to, in the midst of all that stuff going on, you've got to calm your emotion.
And one chance to pass, or not.
Sometimes you have half a chance to pass, but you got to seize the opportunity.
Okay, because...
How relatable is that to business?
I know. And he did say to you, anyway, it says so in the book, that you're a bit of a chicken pants driver.
I was. I thought I was this aggressive, go get him kind of guy. And he said, you have to look at the car in front of you as standing between you and the trophy. So when you get that helmet on, you got to go.
And think in your mind, get the hell out of my way.
Get the hell out of my way. I have to tell you,
That's your racing thought?
It's kind of my life thought now. I think my tendency is I tend to be too nice sometimes. And this is one thing I've learned from guys like Kevin and Mark is it's good to be nice, but sometimes in life, get out of my way.
Yes, and sometimes in life you crash and burn, which you did in the Ferrari.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you live to tell the tale.
I live to tell a tale.
What's the scariest you've ever been, in business or on the track?
Business, because I always, only the paranoid survive, and I always worry that everything is going to go wrong. I mean, I wake up every day and think of the 20 things that could go wrong, and so I live on a lot of fear, controllable fear.
Right.
But fear is good. I mean, if you're not afraid, you are just not trying hard enough.
And you listen to what you call your spidey senses or your spider senses, your intuition.
All the time.
Have you always?
Always, always. I learned that from my parents because I don't have a fancy education. We didn't have fancy advisors. The most successful person I knew growing up was my dad's boss, and that was only because he had more seniority in the union than my dad. So you've got to learn to listen to yourself. People overcomplicate business and success. People are watching right now and say, oh, I can't do what he does because I don't know how to run a business. Everybody has the ability. You just got to listen to yourself.
That's hard to do.
Very hard.
Because you get the message and it's unemotional, and you think, I know you have to listen to your senses. When you're on an elevator, a big, hefty guy gets on as a female, get off.
Right.
Right? No matter if your intuition is right, just get off the elevator.
It's fear. I think most people are blinded by fear. And to be successful at anything, you've got to be able to control that and work your way through it.
And success always involves taking risks. You say
Always.
that. How do you manage the risk? How do you know this is a risk worth risking and this is like way too much?
So that's the hardest thing I had to learn because I'm a very fear guy. I'm not very good with risk. And somebody said to me a long time ago, the best way to think of risk is the pain of not achieving your goal. So what are you scared more of? Are you scared more of failing
Right.
or of not getting where you want to go?
Well, even when you dream of success, sometimes you find a way to sabotage it.
Our greatest battle in life is ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we sabotage.
You noticed.
We're full of doubt and fear, and our parents and all kinds of stuff put all that complexity in us. And to be successful, you have to be able to find that clarity in order to get ahead.
Who helped you do that? Or did you do it naturally?
For me, it was natural, and I have a pretty good quality about failing and just getting up again. So I'm good at learning from the situation around me.
Do you help your salespeople do that? Deal with rejection?
Yeah, I do, but as we get busier and the company gets bigger, I mean, my current company, we started 10 years ago with 3 guys. We're almost 175 people now, and we'll do 155 million this year.
Really?
Yeah, so that's good growth. So I don't have as much time. I wish I did, but I try to.
Because I suspect one of your secrets is you relate to the guy who's selling, or the woman, at some level. Or you don't know what's going on in your company. That's not good.
The reason I'm a great salesman is, if I can be so arrogant, is not so much that I relate to our salespeople, I relate to the customer.
Okay.
And I believe we have the best information technology company in the country. I think great salespeople can only sell something that they truly believe in.
We'll be back with millionaire businessman Robert Herjavec, the guy once known on TV as the Nice Dragon. Do nice guys finish last or not? We'll
It's a
find
fallacy.
out. It's a fallacy.
Yeah.